Well, if the green lights, I'm gonna be good.
Good evening and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. This meeting of the Sioux Falls City Council will begin in a few moments. The City Council meets on the first, second, and third Tuesday of each month at 7 o'clock p.m. and serves as the city's policymaking and legislative body. Each meeting is governed by Robert's Rules of Order unless those guidelines conflict with city ordinance or charter. City Council meetings offer an opportunity for citizens to speak directly to their elected representatives. Those in attendance are invited to address the Council during the public input segment at the beginning of the agenda. At that time, any issue that is not subject to formal action later in the agenda can be addressed. Testimony that concerns a resolution or an ordinance's second reading is only allowed when those specific agenda items are being addressed by the Council. When addressing the Council, citizens should speak directly into the microphones at the podium and state their names for the record after being recognized by the Chair. To accommodate and respect all viewpoints, citizen comments are limited by ordinance to no more than 5 minutes each. Comments should be respectful and focused on providing new information that will benefit the Council's deliberative process. The Chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers. City Council meetings are broadcast live on CityLand
on the
and online
video, okay.
at www.siouxfalls.org. Information regarding the City Council.
Welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. The meeting will begin in about 1 minute.
Visiting www.siouxfalls.org/council or by calling the Council office at 605-367-8085. Thank you for your interest in Sioux Falls City government.
Anytime you're ready.
A hearty good evening to everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. It is going to be an important one, as they all are, but we're certainly very, very pleased to have you here. Today is Tuesday, September 16th. We'll start our meeting by introducing you to your City Council.
Council members Karski.
Here.
Kiley.
Here.
Rolfing.
Here.
Staggers.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Erpenbach. Here. Jameson.
Here.
Thank you so much. In Sioux Falls, we start our City Council meetings with an invocation. And we're very, very blessed to have Dr. Eric McCandless back to give that invocation. He is with Empire Baptist Temple here in town. What we'd ask you to do is to stand, remain standing, and then after the doctor is done, we will then have our pledge of allegiance. Dr. McCandless, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you so much for the honor that it is to represent you, to represent this town. Lord, we thank you for the people that make up this great area. Lord, we pray that your blessings would be on the different things that happen here tonight, not only the presentations, but also the decisions and the processing through of information. Father, we ask that it would not only honor you, but that it also would project a tremendous blessing on this city, not only today, but in the years to come. We thank you again for your blessings of the past days of this town. We just ask that you'd give us blessings for the future as well. Thank you again. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, tonight we have a special award to present. I'd ask that Sergeant Josh Disberg join me, and then also Kurt and Valerie Loudenbach, along with Mayor Huther. This, I've said it often before that there's only one reason that we've got such a great, safe city to live in. It isn't because of necessarily the work of any one person or department. It's because of the people that live in our community and the willingness to get involved and help out when needed. And tonight we've got a prime example of that. This actually happened a couple of months ago, but finally got our schedules coordinated together, so we're able to present the award tonight. So I'm just going to read what the award is about. On July 4th at about 6 p.m., a family of 4 was canoeing down the Sioux River near Pasley Park. There's an area of rapids in the river below where a bike trail bridge crosses the river. The canoe tipped as they were crossing the rough water, and all 4 people fell into the river. This is an area of changing depths and water speed, and the family quickly found themselves in a fight for their lives. Fortunately, at the same time the canoe capsized, Kurt and Valerie Loudenbach were walking across the bridge. Without hesitation or thought for their own safety, the Loudenbachs ran to the river's edge to save the struggling family. At the same time, an off-duty police sergeant and deputy Metro Communications director were preparing to fish on the opposite bank. Josh Disberg also ran to the family's aid while his wife Jen called 911 for additional help, and Jen's with us here today in the front row. Sergeant Disberg and the Loudenbachs all entered the water, and the fight was on to get everyone safely back to shore. There's a very deep hole in this part of the river along with strong undercurrents. At times, both the rescuers and the people being rescued found themselves submerged in the fast-moving water. It's very probable that the lives could have been lost that day, but after a lengthy, hair-raising struggle, one by one, everyone was brought safely back to shore. Sergeant Disberg was awarded the Police Department's prestigious Medal of Merit Award for his heroic actions on that day, and today, we'd like to recognize and thank Kurt and Valerie Loudenbach for their actions on July 4th. They were presented with our Outstanding Citizen Award, so thank you. Mayor?
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Thank you again, Loudenbach family. Thank you. I appreciate it. We now have a resolution. Tom, would you mind coming forward, please? Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor Huther, members of the council. At the last meeting of the Sioux Falls Development Foundation, the board of directors passed the following resolution that I'd like to share with you. Whereas the Sioux Falls Development Foundation understands the vital necessity of quality of life amenities to growing successful local businesses and attracting new investment to Sioux Falls, and that said recruitment of new companies and expansion of existing businesses increase the tax base, provide job opportunities, and generally enhance our community. And whereas the Denny Sanford Premier Center provides our community with a new world-class venue for hosting a wide variety of entertainment and other large group events, and whereas the Denny Sanford Premier Center has the potential to drive new economic development in its neighborhood and throughout the community, and whereas the Denny Sanford Premier Center will be recognized as a significant amenity that illustrates the growth and confidence of Sioux Falls, and whereas the Denny Sanford Premier Center will be officially opening its doors to the citizens and the surrounding area the weekend of September 20th and 21st, 2014. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sioux Falls Development Foundation congratulates Mayor Mike Huther, the Sioux Falls City Council, and the citizens of Sioux Falls on this milestone in our community's history. It was adopted the 21st day of August, 2014. Frankly, it's our way of saying thank you, and maybe a tribute, in a way, to the way things get done in Sioux Falls. We know from our past experiences that we are a community of collaboration. We draw together city government, the business community, education, nonprofit organizations, and all the citizens in Sioux Falls to do extraordinary things. One of the privileges that the Development Foundation has is officiating on groundbreaking ceremonies. And as the chairman of the board, I get to officiate and MC those events. I'm getting tired. We just this morning broke ground on the Community Tennis Center, which is a part of that extraordinary piece of work we have at the Sanford Sports Complex. Not long ago, we broke ground on a indoor swimming complex that's going to be absolutely fabulous. Shortly before that, we broke ground on a new fire hall next to a brand new junior high school, and we've had numerous commercial enterprise developments in between. Sioux Falls is growing and developing, and I know from personal experience that we are the envy of the entire region. May we continue to remain in that position for a very long time. On behalf of the Sioux Falls Development Foundation, thank you for your cooperation, your coordination, and joining us and all the other entities in making Sioux Falls a great place to live and a great place to work. Thank you so much.
Council will now move to our consent agenda. Any motions or changes? Councilor Karski.
I'd like to pull one item from the consent agenda, the police taximeter calibration and
Second, Anderson.
Thank you.
If you second.
Thank you. We will certainly do that. Any other changes? Very good, very good. A motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Box made a motion to approve our consent agenda, seconded by Councilor Karski. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Council will now move to our regular agenda for tonight. Any motions or changes? Councilor Karski?
I'm in the right place. On the regular agenda, well, first of all, a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion to approve by Councilor Karski. Let's see, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach, okay, or Erickson. Councilor Erickson. Thank you, Councilor Erickson. And any discussion on that? Councilor Karski.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the regular agenda by moving agenda item 25 after agenda item 18.
Second, Rolfing.
Thank you. There's been a motion to change our agenda tonight by moving agenda item 25 after item 18. That has been seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Any other changes, motions? Roll call vote, please, on the amended motion.
All right, council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. Certainly pleased to have you here. There's a number of items on the agenda tonight, including the agenda item on the budget. And I know some of you folks are here to speak on that. What we'd ask you to do is to wait until that item before you speak. But if there's any other item that you want to talk about involving your city, this is a great time to do it. Come forward. All we ask is that you keep your comments to about 5 minutes or less. And then the only other thing we ask is that you just introduce yourself to the people of our town. Would anybody want to engage the council? Welcome.
Scott Erisman, Sioux Falls. Just want to start out by saying this past weekend I went to Pahasapa, which is the Black Hills, to the Unity concert out there. It's the Lakota people are fighting a treaty of 146 years old to get the Black Hills back. It was a wonderful experience seeing a lot of people. But I wanted to tell a joke that one of the performers told that I thought was really funny. He said, I went to a Dragon's birthday party and he couldn't blow the candles out. I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, on to some more serious stuff. Almost 6 years to the day, actually September 15th, 2008, so yesterday, this city council passed a tax increase for arterial roads. I have to say that tax increase has failed. I'm not asking that you repeal the tax increase, that's kind of hard to do. But I say you need to repeal the plan put together for it. I ask all of you to watch the meeting from that night that's still online on SIRE and watch the testimony from the developers who promised us that they were going to give 60% to this fund. They never did. They gave about 5 or 10%, if that. The original plan was that And Mark Cotter laid this out. He came up here, and Dr. Staggers was on the council, Kenny Anderson and Greg Jameson. And Kermit asked him to lay the plan out. So Mark Cotter laid the plan out. He said $35 million would come from the CIP. $20 million would come from the tax increase. And $30 million would come from plating fees. That did not happen. About $5 to $6 million came from plating fees, and about $30 million came from the tax increase. I am asking this council in clear conscience to repeal this plan and take the $30 million that was taken from the tax increase and put it towards projects that are worthwhile. Paratransit, infrastructure. The developers did not put forth what they were supposed to put forth at all, period. They have lied throughout the years. They've said they've never, ever said they were going to give 60%. Watched the meeting repeatedly, one after one came up here for an hour long and said, we will give 60%. They never did. They blamed the economy. Well, guess what happened that night? The Dow Jones dropped a record amount. Greenspan told us months in advance the economy was going in the toilet. It was all over the news. But they came up here one after one and kept telling us that they were going to give 60%. They never did. And now that the economy's jumped back, they still have not caught up. And instead, it's on the backs of the taxpayers. And let me remind you, this is a sales tax increase. Food, clothing, home fuel. And they have not put their share in. It was a boondoggle from the beginning. The city actually spent taxpayer money and put up a website paid for by us saying they were going to give the 60%. They didn't. It's 6 years. It's time to get rid of the plan, wash it, and start over. And make it fair. Make them put in their equal share. If they want to build homes in a nice part of town or in a different part of town, fantastic. Put your fair share forward. And if I still have some time, I want to talk about code enforcement. This whole tattletale system is not working. And to tell you the truth, it's unconstitutional. Having anonymous people tattle on their neighbors is unconstitutional. Look it up if you don't believe me. I think that I'm fine with your neighbors telling on you, but they should fill out a form, they should sign their name, they should say they can appear as a witness. If they think you're doing something wrong, they should be able to come and testify at your appeal and say, my neighbor is doing something wrong. You know what the positive thing about this would be? Getting your neighbor to actually sign their name on a piece of paper? The positive part about this is that your neighbor might come and knock on your door and work this out with you on their own. Instead of getting the city involved and the police involved and code enforcement and fines and courts, we might just be able to talk to each other and figure this whole thing out on our own. It is not right that an anonymous person can just tell on anybody they want to. The system is broken. When this guy came up last week and showed multiple pictures, I don't even know how many, multiple pictures of people that are not in compliance, most of them city properties. That tells you the system is broken. It's harassment, and they can hide. I always tell people, Midwestern people are very passive aggressive. They're okay with getting you in trouble as long as they don't have to tell anybody they're the ones getting you in trouble. And make it open. Open it up. Make them sign a piece of paper. Make them say, I'm the one that thinks you're not in compliance, and I will face you in an appeals process or in a court of law and say, my neighbor is not in compliance and I'm here to say so. Otherwise, it's a kangaroo court, it's a joke, really. And the city has lost several South Dakota Supreme Court cases in this, and I'm going to finish. Scott. And it's time to just go, you know what? The South Dakota Supreme Court is right. The system is broken and it doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else want to address the council? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Joy Tusher, and I would like to ask for your indulgence as I make my presentation. I have a brain disease, and I am on a lot of medication. I would like to emphasize that nothing I reference tonight concerns fixed route transportation. Due to time constraints, I will email testimony to this body concerning what I view as some doomed from the start task force recommendations that you and your fellow councilmen will be relying on, and councilwomen. Your Transportation Transit Planning Director, Sam Treblecock, and I disagree mightily on mandated ADA responsibilities. I will give you one example of the recommendations that I will be emailing to you. Recommending that agencies like Dakota Abilities and South Dakota Achieve that have admittedly monopolized the paratransit system to magically overnight become owner-operators of their own bus services and provide 90% of their proposed annual rides is not realistic. There were 38,000 rides last year just from South Dakota Abilities. Add to that five-figure numbers from other like agencies. PTEP has been repeatedly told by Dakota Abilities Executive Director Robert Baum that they are in no way logistically or financially positioned to abide by the recommendations. They don't have to. They're not in the business of running a bus line. They're in the business of caring for people one-on-one. I'm here tonight to join the chorus of passengers and advocates who have spoken ad nauseum on the funding of paratransit, which is also known to us, those of us who use it, as an adventure in time and travel. Each one of us are hoping that somehow something we say will make a difference. I too have faith in the men and women I am addressing. You all did just pray with me in the name of Jesus Christ and said amen, and then pledged allegiance to the flag under God with liberty and justice for all. Sioux Area Metro's forced reclassification of the disabled population so otherwise eligible people with disabilities like myself to somehow overnight magically become able-bodied enough to walk to a fixed route stop is unrealistic. In my case, as you'll see from pictures in a moment, cruel, and not the way to treat the least among you. Most importantly, in the end, it is not a solution to the problem of funding paratransit. Could you please show the pictures for me, Jim, and I'll just continue to visit as long. These are a sampling of some of the injuries I have sustained over the last year. Some just walking down the hall in my apartment, tripping over my own feet. The photos of the large injury to my inside thigh is attributed to the inaccessibility of my apartment building during the use of a four-wheel scooter. I got stuck. It was like trying to drive a riding lawnmower through the doors. I trip and fall and faint as a result of multiple sclerosis and side effects from my many medications. As you can see, I can do bad all by myself. I don't need the added obstacles of cracked sidewalks, overhanging trees, fallen branches, reckless, distracted drivers in order to get hurt, and time signals. I swear to God, at 41st and Louise, I actually said one day out loud, a disabled woman trying to cross in 28 seconds, will she make it? And I'm doing the countdown, and I'm at, it's gone, and I'm like waving. Anyway, let me dispel the notion that might exist in this body or behind the editorial desk of the Argus leader that paratransit is akin to a limo ride, or as Councilman Rolfing has referred to it, Cadillac service. There is nothing sexy about the bus. I do my best to make this look good, but there is only so much I can do with a 15-ton rolling steel box that smells of diesel and oppression. On any given ride, paratransit will be late, sometimes by as much as an hour, then take you on the scenic route where you will spend time picking up and dropping off others before reaching your destination, which you are now late for. So paratransit bus service does not behave like a limousine service or ride like a Cadillac. Have any of you ever ridden paratransit? Have you spoken with the union steward or a bus driver? If not, you're missing out on a valuable perspective. This city has a propensity to study every issue to death. Please, we don't need another study group or task force to nowhere. I beseech you, the powers that be, to look at paratransit in a new way. You hear the word paratransit and you immediately think money, not people who are sick. I call this demonstration the scales of justice. Perhaps it will help you visualize what your funding priorities look like. On this hand, we have a person with a psychotic disorder who must get to the psychiatrist in order to ensure they stay on their meds for the good of everyone. And here we have the maintenance of 2 dog parks and the funding of a new dog park. Which do you choose to fund? If you feel the need to meet the demand of a barking dog, surely you can fulfill your obligation to give a ride to a mentally disturbed human being. Here we have a child with a developmental disability who needs a ride to work or school, or who would like to go to one of the many entertainment venues in our city. It may not be your child, but the people who ride paratransit are someone's child, someone's mother, someone's uncle, and on this hand we have the millions of dollars allocated to the T. Denny Sanford Premier Center and the Washington Pavilion and the ice skating rinks and the swimming pools and the ski lodges. Then, for the love of God, $500,000 a year for flower pots and downtown landscaping. I forgot who, it's a child with a he doesn't have a chance.
Joy, again, thank you. You're at 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh.
Is there any way you could, you're very passionate. And
Thank you.
I know the council's getting it. Is there any chance you could wrap it up a little bit? Thank you.
Yes. With the scales of justice, I hoped to dramatize what this council's priorities look like when it comes to the caring for the least among us. How easy you find it to spend taxpayer dollars to satisfy the entertainment desires of able-bodied citizens. You have the power to fund paratransit if only you had the will. Your consideration of my perspective, your attention here this evening, the extended time you graciously provided me, empowers me. God bless every veteran who ever served for my right to stand here and complain. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joy. Very good job. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wanted to address the council on a non-related funding topic, any other topic? The reason I say that, the next item will be on the budget. So, folks, anything? Great job. Thank you so much. We'll now move to Councilor Karski wanted to discuss taxi meter calibration and testing. Chief Barthel, would you mind coming forward? Councilor Karski?
You bet, and appreciate the chief being here. Over the course of the last year, our Public Services Committee spent a lot of time working on the Vehicle for Hire ordinance, taking a lot of input from taxi cab providers, the public, and we tried to make ourselves the best ordinance that we could. One part of it was requiring that the taxi meters be sealed, calibrated and then sealed. We were told by different people that this would cost anywhere from $20 to $30. We had one bid come back and it was for $90, which kind of puts an undue amount of financial burden on these taxi cabs that I don't think we have to at this time, and I think we're better off rewriting the ordinance. So I'm going to ask that the council defeat this contract and let us go back to the table and reword the ordinance. Won't take much, just a little bit of tweaking. So that's my motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
There's been a motion to not do the funding, is that right, Councilor Karski, on this particular item? And it was seconded by Councilor Rolfing. Any other discussion? Councilor Urbanbach?
Question then. Your motion is a negative. So if I wish for the funding or for this contract to not be approved, do I vote yes or no? If I might, I would like to offer a substitute motion, and I would move to approve the item. Because then I can vote yes or no very clearly.
Thank you. Okay, I will second your substitute
Thank
motion.
you
Yes.
very much.
Government yes can mean no, so yes, we'll go that way. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Urbanbach.
Councilor Urbanbach would like to make the motion in the affirmative, and it has been seconded, so that when the council votes yes or no, then know what they're voting on in a more clear fashion, and the City of Sioux Falls citizens will know what they're voting on too and how it went. Is it appropriate? Thank you. So there has been a motion to approve this item. It has been seconded. Is there any other discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
No.
Kiley,
No.
Rolfing,
No.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
No.
Erickson,
No.
Erpenbach,
No.
Jameson.
No.
That is passed 0-8. Item 8.
8 is transfer of a 2014 retail liquor license, including Sunday sales certificate and video lottery terminals from SRS Inc. Wild Willie's, 4200 North Cliff Avenue, to SRS Inc. Sandbar to be operated at Lot 2A, Block 1, Lake Lorraine Edition, general location 2200 to 2400 South Marion Road, with conditional use permit being approved on April 2, 2014, pending permits and final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 9, new 2014-15 retail malt beverage license, including video lottery terminals for the Barcode Bar and Grill, LLC, the Barcode Bar and Grill, to be operated at 4200 North Cliff Avenue, pending final inspections per Fire and Health. 10, new 2014 retail wine license, including video lottery terminals for the Barcode Bar and Grill, LLC, the Barcode Bar and Grill to be operated at 4200 North Cliff Avenue, pending final inspections per Fire and Health. 11, new 2014-15 retail malt beverage license for Pappy's The Original Inc., Pappy's The Original, to be operated at 101 South Phillips Avenue, Suite 101, pending permits and final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. 12, new 2014 retail wine license for Pappy's The Original Inc., Pappy's The Original, to be operated at 101 South Phillips Avenue, Suite 101, pending permits and final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. 13, special one-day liquor license for Sertoma Butterfly House in Marine Cove, 4320 South Oxbow Avenue for a fundraiser on September 23, 2014, pending permits and final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. 14, special one-day malt beverage and one-day wine licenses for the banquet to be operated at Cliff Avenue Greenhouse and Garden Center, 2101 East 26th Street for a Supply Our Students fundraiser on September 25, 2014. Item 15, special one-day wine licenses for Downtown Sioux Falls, Inc. to be operated at the following locations: 8th and Railroad Center Lobby, 401 East 8th Street, Bead Company, 319 South Phillips Avenue, CH Patisserie, 309 South Phillips Avenue, Chelsea's Boutique, 321 South Phillips Avenue, Cliffhangers Gallery, 126 South Phillips Avenue, Great Outdoor Store, 201 East 10th Street, Lillian's, 311 South Phillips Avenue, Rayfeld's Art and Framing, 210 South Phillips Avenue, Simply Perfect, 401 East 8th Street, number 108, Sticks and Steel, 401 East 8th Street, Suite 118, Young and Richards, 222 South Phillips Avenue, Zambro's Variety, 209 South Phillips Avenue, Exposure Gallery and Studios, 401 North Phillips Avenue, Sunflower Photography, 400 North Main Avenue, and Lot 2029 at 333 South Phillips Avenue for the First Friday Art and Wine Walk on October 3rd, 2014. Item 16, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine license for Oglala Pet Project to be operated at the 8th and Railroad Center parking lot and back deck, 401 East 8th Street for a fundraiser on October 4, 2014. 17, special one-day malt beverage and one-day wine license for Catering America, Inc., Chef Dominique's Catering, to be operated at Avera at Home, 5116 South Solberg Avenue, for a board member tour on October 7, 2014. And 18, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for the Feisty Fighters to be operated at Landscape Garden Center, 7201 South Minnesota Avenue, for a fundraiser on November 18, 2014.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, good evening. Jamie Palmer with licensing. I don't have any additional information for you tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on any of these items, and I will add that the applicants are present if you have any questions specific to their businesses.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Councilor Erickson?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second, Anderson.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson, Jr. So a motion to approve these items that has been seconded. If there's no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Okay, council members Karski.
Yes.
Kiley.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item 25.
All right, 25 is a resolution adopting the budget for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2015, and the 2015 to 2019 capital program.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tracy Turback with the Finance Office. The council action that we anticipate you to take tonight on the 5-year capital program and the 2015 city budget represents the culmination of many months of work by the city team to develop an effective 2015 budget and long-term capital plan. I want to thank the entire finance team first and foremost for their incredible efforts over much of the past year to bring us to this point tonight. We also owe a tremendous thanks to each of the directors and their budget teams for their hard work and cooperation in making this budget happen. The public has had many opportunities to learn what's in the city budget and the capital program, starting with the mayor's capital presentation on the 1st of July. About a month later, the mayor presented his recommended budget for 2015. Then throughout the month of August, the directors came before the council, as you folks know, and presented their individual departmental budgets and responded to your questions and inquiries. All of those things, of course, have been broadcast on our government access cable TV channels and have been replayed again and again on those cable channels. In addition, as you folks know, the council has held a number of working sessions that are open to the public to delve deeper into their to the various budgets and capital programs. And lastly, last week, the public had an opportunity to address you folks and have their comments heard at public hearing on both of these documents. And again, tonight, the public will have an opportunity again to share their thoughts and comments with you before you take your action. Agenda item number 25 is the budget resolution for this year. By approving this resolution, the council will adopt the overall 2015 city budget of $406 million and adopt the 5-year capital program for the years 2015 through 2019. This resolution covers all city funds. And with that, I think it's appropriate, Mayor, at this time to take public comment prior to considering council proposed amendments to the budget. Thank you.
Tracy, thank you very much, and thank you to your team as well as the rest of the city team and certainly the city council. Folks in the audience, this is a great opportunity for you to engage the council on the budget. Again, we just ask you to come forward, state your name, and if you could limit your comments to 5 minutes or less, we would appreciate it. And then one last thing, there may be some comments that begin to become repetitive in nature. The council would just ask that we try not to do that. If there's something new that you want to discuss about a certain topic, that's always found to be very, very valuable to the council. So again, welcome. Would anybody want to engage the council? Council, leave it in your hands. Council?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item 25. It was seconded by Councilor Karski. Any discussion? Lori, we're going to start. And
okay.
Folks that are watching on TV, today. There have been a series of amendments that have been presented ahead of time to the city clerk's office. And so what Lori is going to do, who is the head of that team, she will read each amendment, and then if there is there's a sponsor to that amendment, one of these 8 counselors, and then we'll see if there's a second. If there is a second, then we have the potential not only to discuss it, but also to vote on that. If there is not a second, I'll wait just a bit of time, and then I'll say that amendment or that motion or whatever, that amendment dies for lack of a second, and then we'll move to the next one. Okay? Very, very good. We'll now start with Amendment A. Lori?
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund revenue budget by reducing the increase of property tax by $708,249, 1.4% CPI adjustment pursuant to SDCL 10-1335 for 2015.
That amendment has died for lack of a second.
Amendment B, a motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $300,000 of city taxpayer funds for rail yard improvements, project number 11066, 2015 to 2016.
That amendment has died for lack of a second.
Amendment C, a motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $1,450,000 2015 through 2019, project number 17001, core facade revitalization program.
I'm going to second that one.
There has been a motion to amend the budget by Councilor Staggers. It has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Any discussion? Councilor Staggers?
Yes. We've talked about the core facade revitalization program for many, many years. And it's been around for, a good 12 years, and we've had millions of dollars placed in this fund. Basically, what this is all about is that business people should not be getting $1,450,000 of free money from the taxpayer. This is all it boils down to.
A roll call vote, please.
Okay, Council members Karski?
No.
Kiley?
No.
Rolfing?
No.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
No.
Erickson?
No.
Erpenbach?
No.
Jameson?
No.
That has failed 1-7. Amendment D.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by not hiring an additional economic development employee at a cost of $85,044 for Economic Development Department.
That amendment has died for lack of a second.
Amendment E, a motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by modifying project number 14009, Aquatics Facilities Development, by moving $114,000 for Drake Springs ultraviolet disinfectant from 2018 to 2015.
That amendment has died for lack of a second.
Amendment F, a motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $72,000 in the 2016 budget for picnic facilities at the Sanford Sports Complex Improvements Project number 14028.
That amendment has died for lack of a second.
Amendment G, a motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $2,110,350 for a community center in the Harrisburg school system, project number 14024, Explorer Community Center 2018 to 2019.
Second, Karski.
There's been an amendment presented by Councilor Staggers, which has been seconded by Councilor Karski. Any discussion? Councilor Staggers?
Yes. It's important to keep in mind that we already have 5 community centers and we have 5 libraries. I think we have to question whether we need a 6th community center for $2,110,350 attached to an Harrisburg school.
Oh, yes, Councilor Karski.
The reason I gave the second for this is some people might wonder why we're building a community center in the Harrisburg School District. In reality, Sioux Falls has 7 school districts within our city limits, and I want people to be aware that this community center is serving the citizens of Sioux Falls.
Inside the city limits.
Yes, Councilor Kelly.
I would like to add, too, that it's in the fastest growing portion of our city as well.
Councilor Stagers.
Yes, and it's also important for the citizens of Sioux Falls to realize we already have 5 community centers already. How many are we going to have in the future? I mean, there's only so many that we should have, and I think having 5 right now is quite adequate.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
We may have 5 right now, but we have areas of the community that are very underserved by community centers. I would say the northwest corner and the central area, the Whittier area, is another section that does not have a community center for an area that has a large amount of children. So I think as we move forward, I would hope that we try to balance these out so that they do serve larger areas.
Well, this one deals with the southern area. It doesn't deal with Whittier or whatever. And I think it'd be more appropriate to have libraries rather than community centers.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
No.
Kylie?
No.
Rolfing?
No.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
No.
Erickson?
No.
Erpenbach?
No.
Jameson?
No.
That has failed 1-7. Amendment H.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $358,000 for pathways and air conditioning for a warming house, project number 14029, Memorial Park Development, 2015 to 2016.
I'm going to second that one, too.
There's been an amendment proposed by Councilor Staggers, which has been seconded by Councilor Karski. Councilor Staggers, any discussion?
Yeah, I think it's important that $358,000 for sidewalks crisscrossing Memorial Park, and also spending part of that $358,000 for an air conditioner for an ice rink warming house. We could probably spend this money a lot better than this way.
Councilor Karski?
I believe from the information we received from the Parks Department that this is probably a lot more complex than just sidewalks and an air conditioner. It's part of a master plan that brings together schools, the library, a park, and makes that whole area very user-friendly inside of a large neighborhood complex with several schools included.
Councilor Think.
Yeah.
Follow-up, Councilor Staggers?
Yeah, I guess I would say that we've already spent a lot of money on Memorial Park and the warming house. You know, we could continue spending more and more money too. But I think there's a point in time we have to say, you know, enough is enough. We have a very nice park out there already, a nice warming house which costs over $200,000. I think we can spend this money on something more important.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
No.
Kylie?
No.
Rolfing?
No.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
No.
Erickson?
No.
Erpenbach?
No.
Jameson?
No.
That amendment has failed 1-7. Amendment I.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $101,690, project number 14006, new disc golf course development for 2016.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment J.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $344,000 for additional conference room and increased reception area, project number 14052, Park Administration Building Improvements 2015 and 2016.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment K.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $272,000 for visitors locker room improvements, project number 14011, Sioux Falls Stadium improvements 2018 and 2019.
I'll second that one, Mayor.
There has been an amendment proposed by Councilor Staggers, which has also been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. And Councilor Staggers?
Yes. I think it's important to keep in mind that we had the Sioux Falls Canaries out there at the stadium, and maybe we should be encouraging them to provide maybe $272,000 for the visitors' locker room, or maybe a portion of the $272,000 instead of having the citizens pay for all of the locker room.
Thank you. Councilor Karski?
Well, I appreciate Councilor Staggers' motion on this. I'm going to vote that we keep it in because it is just a placeholder for 3 years out from now. And I'm going to encourage, as Councilor Staggers said, that the Canaries and the teams that participate out there, that they step up and come to the table with a little bit too.
Well,
roll call vote.
If I could just say one
Councilor Staggers?
It might be a placeholder now, but placeholders sometimes stay around forever.
And we'll be able to vote on it again, Councilor.
I'll make sure of that.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
No.
Kiley,
No.
Rolfing,
No.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
No.
Erpenbach,
No.
Jameson.
No.
That has failed by a vote of 2 to 6. Amendment L.
Amend the capital improvement program by deleting $80,000 to design new band shell to replace historic McKinnon band shell modify project number 14040, McKinnon Park improvements for 2019.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment M.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by not hiring 2 additional Park Service employees at the cost of $108,374 to maintain the medians, right-of-ways, and other public spaces for the Parks and Recreation Department.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment N.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by deleting $601,500 for project number 14027, Dog Park Development.
I'll second that one.
There's been a motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the budget, and it has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Staggers?
Well, we've already had a very good presentation as to why we shouldn't be having this dog park. We had Joy Tusher just a few minutes ago talking about, we ought to take a look at our priorities here in the city, and this is one we should look at. Also, let me mention that the city already spends millions of dollars on human entertainment. We don't want to get into the business of animal entertainment, spending $601,500 for dog parks.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilors Karski,
No.
Kiley,
No.
Rolfing,
No.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
No.
Erickson,
No.
Erpenbach,
No.
Jameson.
No.
That has failed 1 to 7. Amendment O.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 Entertainment Tax Fund capital budget by deleting $204,400 for Washington Pavilion Garden, project number 13010, Sculpture Garden Improvements for 2015.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment P.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 Entertainment Tax Fund capital budget by deleting $140,987 for Washington Pavilion phone system replacement for 2015.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment Q.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2018 Entertainment Tax Fund capital budget by deleting $320,000 for Washington Pavilion escalators for 2018.
I'll second that one, Mayor.
There has been a motion by Councilor Staggers to amend our budget, and it has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Staggers?
Yeah, this is very interesting, talking about escalators, when we're also talking about the age of obesity. $320,000 for escalators in the Washington Pavilion, which is already ADA approved, is inappropriate.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
No.
Kylie,
No.
Rolfing,
No.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
No.
Erpenbach,
No.
Jameson.
No.
That has failed 2-6. Amendment R.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by not hiring an additional customer service employee at the cost of $48,219 for the Planning and Building Services Department.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment S.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund enterprise budget by adding $100,000 to the police expense budget to create a fund for innocent citizens whose private property was damaged by police in the line of duty.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment T.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the capital improvement program by subtracting $103,000 from the sales tax revenue source to equal the $150,000 in other donations 2015 from project number 14026, Zoo Master Plan Improvements.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment U.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by not increasing the subsidy $106,724 for Zoo/Delbridge Museum operating support.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment V.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by adding $500,000 to the Public Works expense budget for sidewalk repair.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment W.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Staggers to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by adding $500,000 to the Parks and Recreation expense budget for maintaining trees in the city right-of-way.
That amendment has died for lack of a second. Amendment X.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Jameson to amend the 2015 general fund expense budget by adding $4,000 to the City Council's budget citizen survey.
Second, Anderson.
There has been a motion by Councilor Jameson to amend the budget, and it has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Jameson.
Thank you. Just to clarify, this $4,000 is needed during the 2015 budget year to finalize the billing for the citizen survey. So it's kind of a carryover from this year. No additional funds, it's just reappropriated for 2015.
Councilor Staggers?
Just to clarify, we're going to be spending, what, $25,000 on this survey? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
That is passed 7-1. Amendment Y.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Karski to amend the 2015 general fund budget by deleting $180,800 in expense and $54,025 in revenue from the Parks and Recreation budget for operation of the Sioux Falls Ice and Recreation Center.
I'll second that one.
There has been a motion by Councilor Karski to amend the budget, and it has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Karski.
Yes, the effect of this motion would be to effectively cut down or shut down the SFRC. We've all been made aware here in the recent weeks that the SFRC is going to require close to $1 million in improvements over the next couple of years. Keeping it open is just keeping it on life support. The council has voted to buy equipment for the new ice and rec center that has gone in the Sanford complex. 3 sheets of ice, effectively doubling what the city already had in ice. We're supporting ice sports in this city by doing that. We don't need to have this facility operated and on life support.
Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Karski here. I don't know how many times we've sent a message about that we don't want to be involved in the ice rink business. I hope this is the final message we send here.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Amendment Z.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Erpenbach to amend the transit fund budget by adding $110,000 for transit operations to offset the 2015 proposed fare increase to be funded by an equal increase in the transfer from the general fund.
Second, Karski.
There has been a motion by Councilor Erpenbach to amend the budget, and it has been seconded by Councilor Karski. Councilor Erpenbach.
Thank you. I just would encourage my colleagues to remember this. The transit fares are a small portion of that overall task force plan. The plan is good. The plan is solid. We just need some time to grow the transit system and to take that fare conversation out of it for a little while. Let's push this down the road one more year. And now that we have voted to take the SVRC money out, we've got the money in the reserves to flip it over anyway. So I'd appreciate a yes vote on this one.
Councilor Kiley.
I'd like to add that while this amount is a small portion in our overall budget with the transit system, the added fees to the users of the transit system, both fixed route as well as paratransit, could amount to as much as $520, possibly more, depending upon usage per year. And for some of these individuals, that's an undue burden. I would encourage support as well.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
I agree that it is a good plan. It's a good start. We still need to discuss this. We still need to look at other options.
Councilor Staggers.
I'd like to introduce an amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
I move that we delete transit operations to offset the 2015 proposed fare increase, and in its place put transfer passes.
Councilor, could you repeat that, Councilor Staggers? I apologize. I didn't get that.
Okay. After 110,004, okay, delete transit operations to offset the 2015 proposed fare increase and put in its place transfer passes.
Transfer passes.
Oh,
very
because
good. Okay, I got it.
Today we have people.
Very good. Councilor Staggers would like to have the motion read, motion to amend the main motion by Councilor, it doesn't matter, to amend the transit fund by adding $110,000 for transfer passes
Yes.
to be funded by an equal increase in the transfer from the general fund. Is there a second? That amendment to the amendment has died for lack of a second. We're now back on the main motion or the main amendment Z, which was proposed by Councilor Bach, seconded by Councilor Karski. Councilor?
Councilor Jameson and I and Councilor Anderson headed up the transit task force, and this I need to emphasize, while I'm in favor of pushing it down the road a year, I think it will eventually happen, and it is something that we need to look at. What we're trying to do here is to say, we hear you. We will work with you on coming up with solutions, alternatives to fare increases, or maybe different fare increases that wouldn't affect people so negatively in the short term and the long term. So this is not going away. We're kind of effectively doing it for 2015, but we need to look at this, folks. It is something that needs to be done somewhere down the line, and maybe in a little more progressive way with smaller increments at a time. So it is not going away. It will come back. But I am in favor of this.
Councilor Erickson.
Thank you. Just kind of piggybacking off of that, the reason why I agree with this is we really, really need to focus on the changes that are taking place. This transit plan is good, But we need to focus on maybe one or two things instead of increasing the fare and increasing this and increasing this. We need to focus on the few things, kick this can down the road a year. It's coming. I can see it's coming. It hasn't been done in a long time. However, let's really study what the changes that take place with the Transit Task Force over the next year and see if there's other ways that we can increase the ridership, if we can come up with some sort of community plan to increase the ridership and promoting other businesses along those routes. There's been some good meetings that have taken place over the last couple of years and the last few weeks, and it's exciting to know that we've got a great transit system. However, let's try to increase the ridership a little bit more to offset the $110,000.
Yes, Councilor Jamison.
You know, as one of those guys who worked pretty hard on the Transit Task Force and understanding the situation that the task force is in, the millions of dollars that we currently provide to the system to offer to the citizens a low rate that they pay today, it's troubling that we struggle with this decision. I tell you, there's no political win to advocate for raising the fares. But it's the right thing to do, and we need to do it as a community in order to move our transit system in the right direction. Although the beating that I've received from others on the council and public regarding the proportion of this amount in comparison to this general budget, we heard it earlier tonight about all the great things we do in our community, and yet we want to tax those or charge more to those individuals riding the bus. It's not a big proportion. It's not a big deal. I'll yield to the committee's wishes tonight, but I am not yielding to the efforts that the task force put together and all those stakeholders, those individuals who came to the table and said it's the right thing to do for all of us, even though some of those it would impact them far more than any of us. But tonight, I'll yield to the powers and let it pass.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
That's passed 7-1. Amendment AA.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Anderson Jr. to amend the 2015 Entertainment Tax Fund capital by adding $55,400 for Washington Pavilion electric load leveler.
I'll second this just to hear about it.
That has been an amendment made by Councilor Anderson Jr. to amend our budget, and it was seconded by Councilor Rolfing. Councilor Anderson Jr.
Since I've been on the council, I've been a big advocate of energy savings and looking at renewable energy. Over the last few years, listening to Larry Toll and the Pavilion officials talk about some of their largest cost being electrical, and some of the other facilities, just looking at the new event center, we have a contract with Heartland to alleviate some of those peak period electrical charges. During the peak period, facilities like the Pavilion, the event center, and some of our larger electrical usage areas pay about 2.5 times the regular rate during that period. And this load leveler is a device that basically attaches to the main power unit of the Pavilion, and it helps spread out that peak period load usage. What the companies who provide this type of equipment state is that it will save the business somewhere between 11 and 15% a year. They say that it will pay for itself in 2 years. It's something that I feel that as we move forward as a city, I see Public Works working on digital lighting, outside and internal. We all are looking for ways to find energy savings, that this is a way to help the Pavilion find some energy savings.
Yes, Councilor, go right ahead.
Councilor Anderson, just curious, have you had a conversation with the Washington Pavilion management? Are they on board with this? Do they know
I have had
of
several
this?
conversations with them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor?
Is it appropriate to ask Larry Toll something? Larry? My question is, the new event center did some direct negotiations with Heartland to negotiate a fee for the use of their electricity. Have you, with the pavilion, probably one of the largest, if not second largest user of electricity around here, maybe other than the hospitals, tried to do the same thing?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Larry Toll, co-president of the Washington Pavilion. We have not looked at outsourcing to others. We have a contract through city utilities.
Okay. So
as just a piece of information, we have a electric bill last year was $270,000.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Counselor?
Is there anybody either with utilities or Larry that could tell me how soon we would recoup our investment?
Well, if you believe it's a 15% return, and I think we'd have to do some kind of a proof of concept to say, before we spend this money, let's make sure that in our situation with our usage levels that this in fact would give us some kind of power savings. But if it was a 15% return, it would be less than 2 years that it would pay for itself.
And if I may, Mayor, just
to
conclude on this, being that the cost is $55,000, they would have to do an RFP for this. So hopefully they would also do there would be a study done to make sure that this would be affordable for them.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item AB.
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Erpenbach to amend the Community Development Fund budget by adding $250,000 for the large affordable housing initiative to be funded by an equal increase in the transfer from the general fund.
I'll second that.
There has been a motion to amend the budget by Councilor Erpenbach, and it has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Erpenbach.
Thank you. This is something we discussed at our work session and have discussed previously. It is in addition to the administration's already generous portion for the large affordable housing initiative projects. This would bring that number up closer to $1 million and provide more opportunities for us to be involved with the funding of affordable housing in this community and providing a better quality of life for people who could actually then pay their own rent without tax incentive or vouchers from the federal government. And it's one of those things that it's time for us to step up and lead the community in, and I encourage a yes vote.
Councilor Staggers.
Yes, I'm kind of intrigued here by this notion of affordable housing, by giving more money to help developers do this, when we had an amendment not to increase the property taxes. I don't understand. It doesn't seem like it fits at all. Can you explain that?
Two different conversations. You know, what we're talking about here is loan money that would allow developers to bring down the cost of construction. This is not about property taxes or the taxes that any property owner would pay. This is about construction costs so that rent would be more affordable for the people who rent those apartments.
Yeah, but see, they pay property taxes once they complete the project. And with paying higher property taxes, you know, that makes it more difficult to have affordable housing.
These are loans.
Councilor Anderson Jr. Sorry about that.
Councilor Staggers, just to speak to your amendment, it was a 1-year savings, and it was only the city's portion of this. There is a larger discussion on property taxes, and especially property taxes on affordable housing and multi-housing that is happening as we speak. And I feel that that is something that we need to promote at a state level so that we can be more uniform around on this issue.
I totally agree with you, 100%. So why don't we try to do something rather minor right now? We didn't do that at all.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Karski,
No.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
That is passed 6-2. Council, we now have an amended
Mr.
main.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilor. Oh, yes, I'm so
Mr.
sorry.
Mayor, can I
Councilor
ask the clerk to read one additional amendment, please?
A motion to amend the main motion by Councilor Erpenbach to amend the Economic Development Fund budget by adding $500,000 for a workforce development pilot program.
Second, Anderson.
There's been a motion to amend the budget by Councilor Erpenbach, and it was seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Erpenbach.
If I could just briefly explain this. Some of us have talked about this previously. This is a proposed amendment that would take $500,000 from operating reserves and establish a one-year pilot project focused on workforce development in 2015. It keeps this money in the control of the City Council. Quite honestly, I'm tired of complaining and hearing other people complain that more can be done about workforce development. I want this council to put tax money where our mouth is and support local businesses, educational programs, and the Development Foundation in their efforts to attract, train, and retain good employees. Because of their experience with managing grant and loan monies, I believe community development is the best place for this money to go. You'll also recall the 2015 operating budget that we're about to approve tonight includes a new FTE in that office. The goal for that position is workforce development. 4 key points then. 1, 81% of the people responding to the citizens poll last year supported the use of tax dollars in providing workforce development programming. 2, this money would put us in a better position to respond immediately if the governor's workforce development grants pan out. There is a matching component in that program and required for that program, and we have nothing in the proposed budget without this amendment. With this plan, number 3, we're in a better position for ramping up to meet the needs of potential new businesses while providing strong, clear support for our existing businesses. And 4, city staff knows that we have lost new business because neither STI or other local training programs were available to help the workforce meet the specialized needs of a particular industry. Honestly, and you know this, the nuts and bolts of this program have not been worked out in detail yet. It is something that is in progress. But I've asked staff that will draft the ordinance so that monthly reports will come to council, either as to a committee or to informational meetings. And then following that, as the program ramps up, we'll have quarterly reports on it. And council will continue to have control in terms of representation on the committee that helps with these grants. And we would then also be voting on the contracts as that money goes through to those folks. And it's my dream, it's my hope that we have money ready to distribute, that it's ready to ramp up starting the 1st of January and money starts going out on the 1st of March. I'd ask for your support on this.
Councilor Colley.
And I'd like to thank Councilor Erpenbach for her efforts on this measure, and I too urge support on this. Available trained workforce is vital for this city to continue to grow and continue to move forward. And once again, I do urge your support.
Councilor Rolfing.
Yes, I'm going to vote for this also, but I want to just make a comment, that one that I made to Councilor Erpenbach, and she knows, is that sometimes these workforce development programs need to be rifle shot rather than shotgun shot, if I could use that analogy. We don't need to be going out in 4 different directions, so I would urge, and I know that the use of these funds will be in conjunction with the state and also with our local development people so that we're not counteracting each other with funds. And that's a concern of mine, but with the vote of the council for the projects, et cetera, and the contracts, I think we can overcome that.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
This city's always loved challenges, Mayor. You've shown that in your leadership. This workforce development program could be a major opening for our young citizens who haven't decided what they want to do in life yet, and identifying those young citizens and getting them ready for the rest of their lives in a trained atmosphere, in a trained career. And I think this is a great start, and I really commend you, Michelle, for bringing this forward.
Councilor Staggers.
Well, this is something we haven't even talked about before, but the Chamber of Commerce has, and other non-governmental entities in Sioux Falls have talked about this. And here we're just throwing money, $500,000 for next year, hoping something works. We also have the state's workforce development too. We ought to be working with them. To me, I don't think this is going to be money wisely spent for next year.
Councilor Jameson.
I've got a few comments, might take a minute, but first off, I do agree with the heart of the initiative here is to support and address the workforce development issues in our community, for sure. And I haven't had all these conversations with the sponsor, but maybe we can discuss them. But I'm just not sure that it's the City Council's role, and or our biggest concern is that we may be duplicating existing services. We currently fund Forward Sioux Falls for their workforce development issues. Maybe we could add these funds to them, because sooner or later we're going to start duplicating services. People won't know who to turn to, where to go, where to apply. We haven't even had a sit-down meeting with the state, Southeast Tech, school district, the University Center, Forward Sioux Falls, Development Foundation. I mean, we haven't sat down with them yet to put together a plan. You know, just as far as a fiscally responsible approach, generally you don't just throw out the money and hope for the best. You find a plan that's been proven, you support it, or you make it identify its ability to be funded, and then we fund it. I think we would do that. I'm just not sure that this is the right approach. Additionally, $500,000 from our reserves. It's a pilot program. But what's going to happen after that if our pilot program works? I think we deserve and should have a report from Tracy. What would happen if we use this $500,000 and it goes gangbusters? We need another $500,000 for the year after and the year after. What would we do? How would we fund that? How would our reserves look then? We don't have that projection. Now, I'm all in favor of funding this or finding a way to make funds available for workforce development, but I'm just not sure we've got it in the right order here. I get the heart of it and I appreciate it. And maybe through Council's Erpenbach's explanations, maybe there's a method here that we can work through those other challenges that I've outlined.
Yes, Councilor.
Councilor Erpenbach, help me to understand the process. I like where we're going with this, and I understand what Councilor Jameson's saying, and I truly hope it does go gangbusters. I mean, I think that'd be fantastic. But before, we're just setting the money aside right now. Before any money is spent, any contract would have to come back to the council.
Absolutely, if I might, Mr. Mayor, absolutely. That it would have council involvement in that committee that makes the choices for those grants, and that council is going to see those where that money is going to go. We're not going to spend one dime until we're comfortable with that as a group.
Thank you.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
I'd like to sort of compare this in a slight way to our affordable housing fund, where we put money forth looking for developers with ideals to help provide affordable housing. In the same mode here, we're putting money forward towards workforce development to find that new workforce, that new educated workforce that we need to be providing for new and existing businesses here in our city.
Councilor Kiley, did you have a follow-up, sir?
Yes, I did.
Go right ahead, sir.
Well, I would agree with Councilor Karski that I too hope, Councilor Jameson, that it does go gangbusters, because if it goes gangbusters, that means we're being successful and we're attracting new businesses as a result of a trained workforce. And I think it's important that we not rely just on business and education. The districts that make up the City of Sioux Falls, that we as a city government as well as state government play and collaborate as equal partners.
Councilor Jameson.
If I could, the gangbuster results will not be identified until much later. From what I understand in conversations, this money would not be instituted until the first of the year. By the time that Darren hires a new staff person that's dedicated to community or workforce development, by the time he hires that person and all these grants start coming through, it will be early 2015. By the time we could ever receive or gauge any results, it will be budget time again. And we'll need to determine how we're going to fund it again in the future. The timelines don't match. I propose we have a few months here until the beginning of 2015. Let's put a subcommittee together and figure out if community development is the right place for it. Put together those user groups, those stakeholders, and find out if Sioux Falls, if the City Council is the right place to put this, or should we just fund Forward Sioux Falls? Do something until the end of the year. And then when the 2015 starts, because I'm sure this is going to get approved tonight, but when the 2015 year starts, we will have already had a plan put together and ready to go with this money instead of waiting until Darren hires other staff.
Councilor Buck.
If I could just kind of bring this back to the original proposal, it really, we're talking about things that would strengthen workforce, employee training and education, employee recruitment and retention, and the ideas of reemployment are ideas that we've looked at in terms of kind of draft sketching out what this might look like. And I think that what's important to understand is that we're not cutting funding to the Development Foundation. We encourage the Development Foundation to go ahead with what they're doing and maybe apply for these grants. This might add to something they're doing. But let's also expand our horizons. Let's expand how we look at workforce development. Let's look at those jobs that are in the $10 to $20 an hour range, and let's train or retrain folks to be more prepared for a new economy. Let's train people who are of a certain age who maybe can't run a computer. Let's help those folks come into a better situation for themselves and make their own lifestyles better. This is more than appropriate for a city council to be involved in this. It's time that the city council takes a leadership role in a program, in a problem, in a concern that we all have had and that we all have talked about over and over again. It's time for us to step up.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson? Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That's passed 7-1. Council, we now have an amended main motion on the budget of this town. Yes, Councilor Rolfing.
Could I ask Tracy to come forward, Tracy Turbeck? Tracy is on your way up. I just added up here, and it appears to me that we've increased the year's budget by about $684,400. You and I have had this discussion. I just want to have it on record that that is going to have some effect somewhere down the line on our reserves, potentially. You will keep us appraised of what that will do, I would hope, in your projections. And that if we do put that 25% figure in jeopardy somewhere down the line, we know as a council in voting for this budget that we're going to have to make some adjustments that may not be pleasant. However, these increases that we're looking at now, we feel are important at this time. So if we go ahead, we will have to make some adjustments down the line potentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the impact will certainly be seen, and as we discussed the other day at your working session, that the projection for 2015 before any amendments was certainly indicating that we would draw our reserves down in 2015. Now you've through the amendments that you've approved to this point, by my math, I think in the general fund you've added about roughly $750,000 on top of that. So we'll be looking at over $3 million of reserves very likely that will be spent down in 2015. Now that will not drop us below the 25% goal or 25% threshold, but it certainly does have a constraining effect on what we're able to do then in the 2016 budget or the 2017 budget, and it will certainly will have an impact on decisions that we're able to make in the future. So I think as long as you folks understand that there are consequences, and the first year the impact may be relatively minimal. Depending on what happens down the road, it's that cumulative effect year after year that will have that would cause concern, I guess, if we get to that point.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
So with that being said, Tracy, at the end of the year, if we have surplus money in one of your advices will be to return it to the general fund?
Well, that's what does happen in the case of the general fund. I know in past times, when we've come to you with surplus dollars, that's typically been in the capital fund. So we're really talking about two different pots of money. But my expectation is that at the end of 2014, we will be very close, and we will be updating these projections over the next few months. But the projections right now are that we will stay essentially flat in our reserves for 2014. They may go up a little, they may go down a little, and that will be driven largely kind of by the weather that we have the last few months of the year. But so I don't anticipate putting money in the bank necessarily in 2014, but I think it's relatively clear to me, at least based on the best projections we can make today, that for 2015 we will be drawing our reserves down if this budget is approved as it currently stands.
Thank you.
A roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mayor, we're voting on the budget right
Yeah,
now.
and the amended, we've got an amended main motion, of course, but yes, we are voting on the budget, Councilor Staggers.
If I could just make a
Please do.
comment. Probably some people are wondering about all these amendments that I introduced. Why did I do that? For a very simple reason. Because I wanted to make a better budget. That's what it boils down to. These amendments total over $7 million. And as a result of introducing these amendments to try to reduce spending a little bit, not one dime was reduced at all. And in fact, we had a property tax increase again. I think every year I've been on the council, we've had a property tax increase. And one of these days, we've got to give the citizens a break. However, what did we do tonight? We added $684,000 worth of spending. And of course, we had really important testimony by some citizens, especially Joy Tusher, excuse me. And I think she made a really, really good point, saying we ought to establish some priorities here. Instead of treating all the budget equal, there's some parts of the budget that are more important than others, and others less important. And she made a good point. And one good example of that was the dog parks. I mean, should we be really spending $600,000 on dog parks when we should be thinking about how we can spend that money better on the citizens of Sioux Falls? So having said this, it's with great reluctance I am going to be voting for this, even knowing that we could have had a much, much better budget than what we have.
Thank you, Councilor Staggers. A roll call vote, please.
Councilors Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item 19.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing appropriations and the means of financing for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2015.
I'll
Thank you,
move
Tracy.
approval. Second, Anderson.
Tracy, Council, would you mind if we let Tracy just speak to this item first? Tracy?
Certainly. Just to kind of set the table, the ordinance on second reading tonight will do two things. Establish the appropriations for our appropriated funds and set the property tax levy. The one thing I would like to point out to you that because you did make some amendments earlier to the budget resolution, those same amendments will need to be incorporated into this ordinance as well. So and Jim provided me with some draft language. I don't know if you have that in front of you. That would include amendments X, Y, Z, AA, AB, and AC.
Council, who made the original motions? I apologize. Was it Councilor Rolfing made the motion to approve it, and it was seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr.?
Correct.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. That's a good idea, David. For the record, though, Councilor Rolfing wanted to make the motion, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Council, if you wouldn't mind, is there anybody in the audience who wanted to speak to this item? Very good. Councilor Karski?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to reflect the changes to the resolution adopting the budget and the capital program.
Second, Kylie.
It's been a motion to amend the ordinance to reflect changes to the resolution, adopt the budget of the capital program, and it was seconded by Councilor Kiley. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
All right. Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
We now have an amended motion. Any changes, folks? Any discussion? Councilor Staggers?
Yes, I voted for the budget resolution, but I'm not going to be voting for this. And the reason is because this is where the property tax increase is embedded, and we don't need a property tax increase. And so I'm voting against this.
Councilor, thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That is passed 7-1. Item 20.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 201 South Franklin Avenue from the I-2 Heavy Industrial District to the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District, petition number 2014-0803, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Michael?
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. This is an item that's being submitted by the owner, Greg Rubin. The property is located at the southwest corner of South Franklin Avenue and East 11th Street. It consists of just over 1 acre. This has gone through a number of transitions in recent years. The property is currently being used as a car sales lot, and in working with the applicant as well as the current operator, the commercial zoning district is more appropriate for this area and would eliminate the heavy industrial existing zoning designation. And the property owner is in support of this change.
Thanks, Mike. Council, it's a first reading.
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Anderson Jr. would like to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, October 7th, and it was seconded by Councilor Karski. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 21.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2525 West 3rd Street from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the I-1 Light Industrial District, petition number 2014-0804, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The property owner is Andrew Hansen, and the applicant is Scott Schmidt, representing the Forbes Group. This is just under 1/2 of an acre in size, and it is located just east of Kiwanis Avenue on 3rd Street. The adjoining properties to the north and east are single-family residential and twin-home residential, and then to the south and west is commercial development. So in this case, the applicant is proposing to construct a small warehouse of approximately 6,000 square feet on this parcel, along with associated parking. And as part of our Shape Places zoning ordinance, we want to just kind of quickly walk through how we would deal with this kind of situation. First of all, we look at, with the proposed rezoning, going from commercial to industrial, the compatibility chart that we have as part of our comprehensive planning process. And so Jason's going to help us walk through this. So we have a light industrial next to a low-density residential. And you can see that on our compatibility chart, it's a 2. The highest compatibility is a 5. The lowest compatibility is a 1. So this is toward that end of the spectrum. And with this compatibility matrix, what we look at is how we can make those uses more compatible. And in this case, it triggers within our zoning ordinance the buffer yard requirements. So we go from, are you keeping up with me okay? In our zoning ordinance, once we've established the zoning district, then we look at the forms. So this is a warehouse manufacturing form that's in the ordinance, and it goes through with you what are the the requirements for the lot area, the setbacks, signage, and those kind of things. So that's the second thing we look at is the proposed use and the form. And then from there, we look at, again, those buffer yard requirements. And in this case, since it is adjacent to residential, we have a 30-foot buffer yard requirement with a 4-foot high berm, as well as additional landscaping. And if we go back to their site plan, sorry, Jason. If you go back to the site plan, that's what they would be showing is that buffer yard requirement on that east side. So that's how we deal with if you have whatever land use next to whatever land use, it will trigger different setback and buffer yard requirements. As I mentioned, during the public information process, the Planning Commission hearing, we did not have any public comment on this. Obviously, we went through the proper notification process. So that's a quick overview of how we would deal with this kind of situation in general, and then with our shape places requirements. So I took longer than you thought, but it was an opportunity for that discussion.
Mike, you amaze me. Nice job.
Okay.
Has he been taking lessons from Cotter?
He's doing very well.
Charges.
Well, complicated stuff. But Mike, thank you. Councilor Karski.
Can you put back the overhead picture again of the neighborhood?
Of the aerial photo? Yep, there you go.
Yeah, thank you. Couple questions here. What are the dimensions of the building? I know it's 6,000 square feet, but do we know the...
60 by 96,
okay,
so roughly 60 by 100 feet.
So this isn't going to be like a storage warehouse for people, you know, to
No,
put, okay, this
not
is going to be a commercial
yes.
warehouse.
Business
Do we
warehouse.
know what the end use will be?
We haven't got into that specifics yet, but no, this would not be like a place that you would store RVs or other personal view equipment. And we can ask the
hours
applicant.
of operation or?
Again, at second reading, we can ask the applicant to maybe to be here to give more specifics.
Thank you.
If that would be appropriate.
Move to approve, Karski.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Karski, and thank you, Councilor Urbanbach. They would like to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, October 7th. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 22.
22 is first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at South Dakota Highway 42 and East 6 Mile Road from the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density District to the RA3 Apartment Residential High Density District, petition number 2014-0809, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the Willow Run Golf Course. The owner, Tom Walsh. The applicant is Lloyd Companies. The City Council previously approved a zoning change to allow the reconstruction of the clubhouse along with additional multifamily residential. In this case, the applicant has modified slightly the footprint of their layout, and so we're asking to adjust the district boundaries, impacting about roughly 2.5 acres of land area. So the side-by-side comparisons, you can see what was approved on the left previously and what's been requested on the right. So again, at second reading, if we want, we can have the applicant to explain why that footprint has changed, but it would still be for the new clubhouse and for the multifamily residential.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second.
Councilor Rolfing would like to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, October 2nd, and that was seconded by Councilor Karski. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Thank you. Item number 23.
First reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the 2013 Shape Places zoning ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
Last month, we brought to the City Council some staff-initiated zoning changes to property based on shaped places that we saw had been incorrectly made by staff. Tonight, we're asking you to consider for first reading some text changes that staff has initiated. Again, we're approaching almost our 6-month implementation of Shape Places. And so we've discovered some correcting and editing of the text. And Jason Bieber, who is the author of these changes, is going to go through each one with you really quickly tonight to explain it a little bit more. Jason.
Jason Bieber with Planning and Building Services. As Mike had indicated, these are some text amendments to allow corrections and edits so this ordinance can be implemented correctly. Some of the proposed amendments do include correcting and editing some definitions, removing the MD3 form from the Live Work zoning district. This is shown correctly in your interface that you have, but it was wrong in the specific ordinance. Correcting the required buffer yard in the NF1 form from the level A to a level B buffer yard when adjacent to single-family uses would be DD2 uses. We've also identified adding daycare centers as an accessory use within an NF1 form, specifically for churches. We see a lot of churches that like to have accessory daycares along with them. That wasn't addressed in the ordinance, so we've addressed that. We've also added assisted living facilities within the BCF3 form. That form is mostly for hospitals, big, large campuses. We figured assisted living, like Good Sam and those, belong in that form, so we've added that. We have moved some of the language within the telecommunication towers and landscape buffer yard sections to read a little bit clearer, and we also added a diagram to detail how sign faces are measured within the ordinance. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on these text amendments.
Jason, thank you very much. Council, thank you, Councilor Rolfing.
Second, Anderson.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson, Jr. These two gentlemen would like to set a date of hearing and second reading for Tuesday, October 7th. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's passed 8-0. Item 24.
A resolution appointing an audit committee member to the City Council Audit Committee.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor.
I would, as chairman of the audit committee, I would urge Seth Peterson be approved. He's very well qualified and has come forward as one of the 3 or 4 people that were on our list, and we would accept him very nicely.
Second, Kiley.
Thank you so much. Folks, is there anybody in the audience who wanted to help Seth get on this board? Don't think we're going to need it, but just in case. A roll call vote. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Councilor Staggers.
Yes. You said he was well qualified. Could you say something about his qualifications,
I knew
Rex?
you were going to ask that.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready for that, if you'll give me 1 second. He's a Sioux Falls resident, senior internal auditor at First National Bank, certified internal auditor. He has his degree or certification, and he has a master's in business administration. Yeah, he's a very well qualified
Okay.
candidate.
Thank you.
A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kiley,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That's passed 8-0. Item 26.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a construction manager at-risk agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and Sioux Falls Construction, a Journey Group company for construction manager at-risk services for the indoor aquatics facility at Spellerberg Park, along with other documents, amendments, change orders, or other instruments as may be deemed necessary and appropriately consistent with the terms of the agreement.
Don?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Rec. Both items 26 and number 27 on your agenda are both associated with the construction of the new indoor aquatic center at Spellerberg. And this particular item is a contract with Sioux Falls Construction to perform the construction manager at risk services for this particular project. Jim Weidrich has been working with us on both this contract as well as the architectural services contract. And before we have him come up and address the CM at risk contract, we do have Tracy Turback, our finance director, here with us tonight as well. to talk a little bit about the budget for this particular project. And then at that point, we'd like to have Jim come up and address the CM at risk contract. So with that, I turn it over to Tracy.
Thank you, Don. Welcome, Tracy.
Good evening again. Thank you. Last week, the team was before the council at an informational meeting to talk about the contracts, and there was a lot of good discussion at the meeting, and a number of questions that came up related to the budget for this particular project. So it seemed appropriate to come back before you tonight, before you take the step to approve the construction manager at risk and the architectural contract for this project, to visit a little more and provide a little more background on the budget for this particular project. I did communicate with you earlier today in an email to try to kind of lay the groundwork for the discussion and hopefully clear up any confusion that might exist in terms of how this project is coming together. I think it's important to remember that although it seems like we've been talking about an indoor aquatics facility for a very long time, this project is really in very early stages. A lot of the work that's been done to this point is really at a very high level, a master planning level. Some of the numbers that we've talked about in the past are based on the aquatics facility master plan. And those of you that have been around for a while and have been through this process before with master planning process, that is a very, very rough estimate. When you take a cost estimate for any kind of a project out of a master plan, it's typically very, very preliminary and at a very high level. And so it takes a lot of work to get beyond that to really firm up cost estimates, and that's some of the things I want to bring out in my comments tonight. But I think to start with, I want to step back and discuss a little bit about the days and the weeks leading up to the election last April. We did talk about the aquatic center quite a bit prior to the election, and the estimated project cost of $19.4 million was used, and this number was based on that aquatics facilities master plan, that toolbox estimate that Don has talked about on a number of occasions for a large indoor facility. This number included the aquatics facility itself, including the FF&E, or the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as the parking for that facility. Keep in mind that at that point, the ultimate site had not been determined, and that's really, I think, a key factor in this discussion on the budget. Because a determination had not been made regarding what site to use, again, leading up to the vote on the outdoor facility, the $19.4 million figure that was used for an indoor facility did not include costs that would ultimately be unique to whatever particular site that was chosen. Of course, we fast forward a little bit now. Spellerberg Park has been identified as the site for the indoor aquatics facility, and by selecting that site, the scope of the project and the work that needs to be done now will include those costs that are unique to that Spellerberg site, like relocating some of the existing amenities that currently exist in Spellerberg Park, and I'll refer to those as other park improvements. So we've got essentially two components to this project. We've got the aquatics facility itself, and then we've got the other park improvements that will occur as a result of that project. Just a moment before I go to the next slide, there's a bullet on here about the restroom facility, and I just want to explain in case you have a question in your mind about that. It's not unusual at all when a city facility is located in a park to put a restroom facility that is accessible to park patrons. They may be there to use the park in other ways so that they can then have access to the restroom facility without actually going into the facility itself. And I think that will be the case in this instance as well, although it's an open question as to whether or not that restroom facility will be included as part of the building that will be the aquatics facility, or whether it may turn out to be more advantageous to have a freestanding facility. So that's why I wanted to point that out. It was listed as one of the elements of the project in the presentation that you saw last week. So looking at the first significant component of the project is the aquatic center itself. Prior to today, the council had formally appropriated money for this project. The current 2014 budget for the aquatics facility project is a little over $18 million. The 2015 budget that you just approved a few minutes ago adds $250,000 to the aquatic center budget. So that brings it to about $18.3 million once that 2015 budget will go into effect. In addition, the 5-year capital improvement plan that you approved earlier tonight provides for an additional $1,450,000 to be added to the aquatic center budget in 2016. That is all consistent with what was talked about shortly after the election, and it's consistent, obviously, with the plan that you've been considering throughout the summer. So the total that we're currently using as a planning number for the aquatic center component of the project is $19.76 million, as is indicated on the slide. Again, it's important to keep in mind, and I'll say it again, that the architect and the construction manager have not been contracted yet. They will be key players in developing a firmer cost estimate for all the construction work that will take place relative to this project. In fact, that will be one of their first key tasks to work on. So the estimated cost for this component of the project, I expect will change as we go forward and as they develop the plans and cost estimates as they go through that process. And I know on a number of occasions we've used the event center project as kind of a comparison in kind of explaining this process, largely as it relates to the use of the construction manager at risk. But I think maybe this is kind of stuck in people's minds too, that for what seems like forever, we've been using the $115 million number of public investment for the event center, and that was the number that was etched in stone, if you will, on the event center project. At the time that number was established, though, it's important to remember that by then, the architect on the project and the construction manager on the project had been working for the city for the better part of a year. So by the time that $115 million number was established for the event center, we had already hired the folks you're talking about hiring tonight for this project, and they had been working and developing that cost estimate. So we didn't set a number in stone until we were much further down the road on that project than what we are on this aquatics facility project. So I think that's key to understanding kind of where we are in developing the final, what ultimately will be the final budget for this project. So the second piece of the puzzle, if you will, the other park improvement components, these are costs of improvements that, as I mentioned, are unique to the Spellerberg site and will be critical to maintaining the existing amenities that we have at Spellerberg Park. These are, again, are costs of things like relocating the playground, the picnic shelter, the play courts, the sand volleyball courts, drainage improvements, and possibly some additional parking improvements as well. These types of improvements, these playground and picnic shelter and play court improvements, are something that the Parks Department budgets for every year. They have what they call cyclical programs where they budget a certain amount of money and you folks appropriate it through the capital planning and budgeting process. And then the Parks Department takes those dollars and they prioritize play courts or playground structures across the city, and they utilize those dollars to target those things that are most in need or the highest priority. And so the improvements to Spellerberg Park that will be kind of rolled into this overall aquatics facility project will be funded from those cyclical dollars that you authorized earlier tonight as part of the Parks Department capital budget. Just by way of kind of putting it into perspective, the 5-year capital plan that you just approved tonight includes, over the 5-year time frame, $5.7 million for these cyclical improvement programs in parks. Again, that's for things like playgrounds and picnic shelters and play courts, and park roads and parking lots. The portion of the CIP dollars that will be directed then toward making these other park improvements at Spellerberg Park. Last week, Don gave you a rough estimate of $500,000 to $800,000 that would be associated with those costs. We're using a planning number today after communicating since last week with parks of about $650,000, so it's right in that range that Don had shared with you a week ago. But again, we're very early in the project. It is an estimate, and it's really too soon at this point. That's another thing that the architect and the construction manager will be refining as we go forward, as the details of the project become better defined. Again, the real work to develop the solid cost estimates is really just getting started with the two contracts that you have before you tonight, developing those estimates for these different elements of the project will be, again, one of the key services that are provided by TSP and by Sioux Falls Construction under the contracts that you'll be asked to approve here in just a minute. With that, I'll sit down, and Jim Wiedrich will review the two contracts on the agenda. Thank you.
Welcome, Jim.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Jim Wiedrich. I am an attorney with Woods, Fuller, Schultz, and Smith. Have been retained by the city to help draft and negotiate the contracts with the construction manager and with the architect proposed for the aquatic center. As we discussed last week, the construction manager contract before you tonight is proposed to be with the Journey Group Company, which is doing business as Sioux Falls Construction Company. And then the architect's contract that we'll talk about secondarily then is proposed to be with TSP. The construction manager went through a request for proposal process and was selected by a group of folks that included representatives from the city and representatives from the community. At that point, we had already spent quite a bit of time working on the construction manager's contract and then finished those negotiations with Sioux Falls Construction following the selection of their proposal. Just briefly again, and I know that we've covered this several times, construction manager at risk is a concept whereby at one point in the process, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the guaranteed maximum price for the construction manager's contract will be set. And the guaranteed maximum price has two components. It includes the construction manager's fee and the cost of the work. Once that guaranteed maximum price has been negotiated, then at that point, that is the maximum amount that will be paid to the construction manager as part of the project. If the actual costs, once they're bid out and construction is completed, are less than the guaranteed maximum price, the savings are retained by the city so that the city would gain that benefit. With that in mind, let's talk then a little bit about the determination, once again, of the guaranteed maximum price. The process is a little bit different than it was with the event center, because in the event center, the price was not determined until well into the project, where various trades had already been bid out in order to reduce the amount of contingency that was in that contract. We have a different approach here with a smaller contract in that this project is a little under $20 million. The guaranteed maximum price will be based upon a process which includes first the determination of the program, which will be the activities and the portions of the facility that will then support its operations. There will be a budget determined by the city and in conjunction and in consultation with the architect and the construction manager. We will then also identify the schedule. Once we get to that stage, then TSP, as the architect, will do a deeper dive and take that programming piece that was put together earlier, and based upon that programming, we'll begin with the schematic design document phase. And as that process goes forward, there's going to be a couple of points in there where the construction manager will be asked to come back and give estimates based upon the drawings and the specifications that are begun by the TSP to see if we are in line with the program and in line with the budget and in line with the schedule. If adjustments need to be made, or if the architect needs to go back and do some different design work because we're not staying within the budget, then that is taken into account as part of the process. When we finally approve then the schematic design documents, and those get approved and agreed upon by all three parties, then we turn to the design development documents, which is a much deeper dive into the drafting, the drawings, the specifications, and once again we test at 60% completion of design development documents. And then when we get to the end of that process, the design development process, before you've done any construction, there will then be a determination as to what that guaranteed maximum price will be. Once it is agreed upon, then the construction documents are actually prepared, upon which the subcontractors and the suppliers will then put in their bids and their proposals, and we get to a point then when it's the construction manager at risk to live within that budget and to see that that facility is built in accordance with the expectations of the city. So then the compensation that is proposed tonight for pre-construction services for Sioux Falls construction, the compensation is $95,000, and then the compensation for the rest of the project is 3.5% of the cost of the work. So at this point, we cannot tell you what that dollar number will be, but it will be determined at the time that the guaranteed maximum price is set. We spent a lot of time starting with the AIA documents. We've amended those significantly, believe that we have a good set of contracts that protect the city's interests. Tegra has been a significant part of that negotiation, as have city employees and representatives, and we are here before recommending that that contract be approved this evening.
Jim, very good job. Thank you. Council, before I go to you, is there anyone in the audience who wanted to speak to this item? Councilor Karski.
Going back to Tracy's comments, and Jim, I think you're going to be the one that answers this question. Before we did the same type of contract with the event center, we had a pretty good idea because the contractor and the architect came to us with a plan so that we knew pretty close to what it was going to cost. That's not the case here, and we really don't. We know what we want to spend. Mm-hmm. But what if this project comes back at $25, $30, or even $35 million? I mean, we're going to end up paying the $95,000 to the construction manager for the pre-construction services. What else are we committed to if this doesn't fit our budget?
Well, you would be committed to some initial costs also with the architect for initial services, but that's it. If it becomes apparent through that process that I just described that for what you are expecting as part of the aquatic center, based upon the program that you are hoping to include in the aquatic center, if that isn't reality, then the city will need, administration will need to come back and say to you, you have a choice. We think that the cost is going to exceed that budget that Tracy put up there tonight, And you can either approve a larger budget to include more funds for this project, or if you say that that's all there is, then we go back to TSP and we design a project within that budget. But that may mean that the program then is altered, and there may not be all of the operations, the things that you would like to see in an aquatic center, but that's a decision that this council gets to make at that time.
So what you're telling me is that we're obligating ourselves with this contract to build a pool regardless of what it looks like.
Well, yes, but I would say that we do have built in the contract the ability for the city to terminate the contract without doing construction.
At what cost?
Well, for the construction manager, it's the $95,000, because that's all we've committed to do for pre-construction. So if we don't put the spade in the ground and you terminate the contract on the construction manager's contract, that's the limit of your exposure.
And what about the architect?
That is a good question. Let me ask Dick. I don't recall if, I know that we've got the percentage in here tied to the guaranteed maximum price. Do you recall where we are on pre-construction services, or Sean?
Dick or Sean, what Councilor Karski is asking is that if the project were not to move forward, what is the city's liability in terms of the architect design? What would that liability be in terms of expense?
Hi, Sean Irvin with TSP. Thank you, councilors and mayor. In response to that, it's really based upon the progress made on the documents and throughout the process. So if, for example, it would be determined at, say, a very early stage, say, let's just say at 20% through our process, that the budget and the project can't match, and the council decides, let's pull the funding, we're not going to do the project, you would be committed to 20% of our effort at that point. So it's basically based upon the amount of work that has been done. So it is not that it jumps right up to 100% construction documents. So there's some portion of that based upon how far through the process we are.
That does trigger my memory. We do have a slide, and we showed it last time, and Sean is right. It depends upon how far along you are with the work that's been done. For basic services, if you end it during the schematic design service stage, the maximum compensation that they're going to receive is 5% of what they would have otherwise been entitled to, based upon what we would have expected the guaranteed maximum price to be at that time.
So currently the 6.75 of 20 million, so we're looking at 1.2 million total compensation, and they'd get 5% of that, or about $60,000.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. Good job, Councilor. Councilor Anderson, Jr.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Councilor Staggers.
Yes. This resolution tonight basically allows the mayor to make the decisions. In other words, the city council is going to be kind of out of this after this resolution is passed tonight. Is that fair to say? Unless it comes to appropriating some more money or whatever. But basically, we're going to be out of it. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Let me see here. So right now, we started off at 19.4 million for the facility. Now we're up to 19.76 million. And now let's suppose I'm just making this up. Let's suppose we go to 21.5 million. We have no say at all if the mayor agrees to that. Isn't that right?
That is not correct. If it exceeds the budget that Tracy put in front of you earlier, the mayor would not be able to approve a change order or an amendment to the contract without the council's consent.
Okay.
Councilor Erickson? Council? A
Move to
motion?
approve, Karski.
Thank you, Councilor.
Second, Anderson.
There's been a motion to approve this item by Councilor Karski, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item 27.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional architectural and engineering design services agreement between the city and TSP Inc. for the indoor aquatics facility at Spellerberg Park, along with other documents, amendments, change orders, or other instruments as may be deemed necessary and appropriate, consistent with the terms of the agreement.
Jim, would you want to, or Don, did you want to, Jim, let's just go right to you then, sir. You're representing the city, so would you please just explain what this is about? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The architect's contract with TSP, once again, was an AIA document. It includes all of the same steps that we had talked about previously with the construction manager at risk contract. The services are provided by TSP through the same programming, schematic design, design development, construction, and then document services, the bidding services, and finally construction services. You have before you not only the services but also the compensation, which is 6.75% of the guaranteed maximum price. Contract has been significantly negotiated with TSP with the assistance of Tegra, and we're here recommending tonight that you approve this contract also.
Jim, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak to this item? Councilor Staggers?
Yes. Back to this guaranteed maximum price. Can you give us a rough estimate when we're going to find out what the price is going to be? Is it going to be 5 months from now, 6 months from now? Any rough estimate?
I defer to Dick Strasberg.
Would you mind?
With Tegra.
Yes. Or Kendra, between the two of you.
Good evening, Dick Strasberg with Tegra. Looking at the schedule, the schematic design process, we anticipate will probably be 2 months. We got to get into it and see how it progresses, and then likely an additional 2 months for design development. After that is complete, we have the cost estimating, which takes at least a month. Probably six weeks before it actually gets finalized. So I think we could use that as a rough timeline.
So that would be
March 1st.
February or something, or
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the thing we look at on these is what we need to do before there's a guaranteed maximum price. We need to make sure that we have a very tight GMP package, so we understand exactly what we're buying, exactly having everything pinned down on that, and that sometimes can take some time, and we need to take the appropriate time to do that.
Okay.
Council?
Move to approve, Karski.
Second, Rolfing.
Thank you, Councilor Karski. Thank you, Councilor Rolfing, for seconding that. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item number 28.
A resolution approving the release of permanent sanitary easements located in Lot 2B, Block 1, Lake Lorraine addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, and Tract 1, Lake Lorraine addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, and Lot 5 and Lot 6 of the re-subdivision of Sioux Falls Farmstead in Section 25, Township 101 North, Range 50 West of the 5th PM, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
Welcome, Chad.
Good evening. Chad Heavey with the Engineering Division. This easement is located in Lake Lorraine, which is south of 26th Street and west of I-29. The easement does not contain any utilities, and the property owner has requested it be released. And engineering recommends approval.
Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak to this item? Council?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Karski. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Karski.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson. Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 29.
A resolution approving the release of a portion of permanent utility easement located in Tract 4A of Martin's addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
This easement is located on the east side of Southeastern Avenue, just to the south of the Pasley Park area. A portion of the easement does not contain any utilities, and the property owner has requested it be released. And engineering recommends approval.
Thanks, Chad. Is there anyone in the audience who want to speak to this item? Council.
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Rolfing.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve this item, second by Councilor Rolfing. A roll call vote. Yes, Councilor Rolfing.
Curious.
Please.
What was the easement for in the first place?
Utilities and access. Whitetail Place is a private street.
Oh.
And so there was an access easement which would provide access for
To a
this
public
property
road.
owner to use White Trail Place to get there.
Got it.
This is just a small piece of this they want to get rid of. So,
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Karski.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson. Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item number 30.
A resolution approving the release of a portion of permanent sanitary sewer easement and utility easement located in Lot 1B of Oakwood Hills Estates, in addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
this easement is located approximately a quarter mile north of the intersection of Sycamore Avenue and Madison Street. This portion of the easement does not contain utilities, and the property owner has requested it be released. So on the map in front of you, we are talking about the area in the, I'll call it the yellow, is the portion that'll be released. The remaining orange easements will still be in place. And engineering does recommend approval.
Thank you, Chad. Is there any in the audience who want to speak? Council? Council?
Move to approve.
Thank you,
Erpenbach.
Councilor Buck.
Second, Anderson.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr. for seconding that. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Karski.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson. Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item 31.
A resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards, and those members are Ben Arndt, Angela Bakke, Nicole Schulke, and Tom Van Wy, all to the Arena Convention Entertainment Center Board, and Jennifer Schaefer to the Public Parking Advisory Board.
Council, would anybody want to
Move
make
for approval, Anderson.
And second, Rolfing.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson Jr. Thank you, Councilor Erickson. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Karski.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. I just wanted to let the people of Sioux Falls know that in my 4+ years as mayor, this is the most productive and efficient budget process I've been involved with the council. I commend you for your efforts. Great job. And the people of Sioux Falls should also be fully aware that these folks take their job seriously. It is a ton of time, a ton of effort, a ton of sacrifice. They scrutinize these numbers at the highest level, and I commend them for their efforts. Council, would anybody want to get out of here?
Second.
Yes, thank you. Councilor Rolfing has made a motion to adjourn. It's been seconded by Councilor Karski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
This, one is opposed, 7-1. He loves his job. Councilor Anderson Jr. loves his job. Make it a great night, Sioux Falls. This meeting is adjourned.